The room went silent as the investors' screens flashed red. A billion-dollar deal vanished in seconds. In the center stood a woman in white, her calm eyes reflecting the chaos she had unleashed. The family who once mocked her sat frozen, their empire crumbling in disbelief. Cameras flashed, board members whispered, and in that storm of silence, she walked away. They had laughed at her, dismissed her as a foreign outsider, a joke in their legacy. Now she was rewriting the story they thought they owned. Months earlier, she had entered their mansion with hesitant grace, her pale skin and gentle accent instantly marking her as different. Her husband adored her simplicity, but his family saw her as an unwanted symbol of defiance. They believed heritage defined worth, that purity of blood secured power. At every dinner, their smiles carried the weight of judgment. She endured it quietly, never reacting, never complaining, just observing the hierarchy built on arrogance and inherited wealth. The family ran a multi-generational empire rooted in old-world tradition. They called themselves self-made, yet every brick stood on inherited privilege. To them, she was a stranger who had entered their kingdom uninvited. They whispered that she would never understand their kind, that her presence diluted their pride. Yet behind her reserved demeanor was a mind sharper than any of them imagined. She had built silent connections, traveled through circles of influence where real power wasn't loud, it was strategic. Their mockery grew crueler over time. Subtle insults were wrapped in laughter, cultural remarks disguised as jokes. They took pride in embarrassing her during gatherings, flaunting their superiority as if she were a charity case. Her husband tried to shield her, but even his loyalty was fragile against years of family control. She saw the way they measured worth in lineage, how they looked down upon anything that didn't resemble them. But instead of breaking, she began to observe every flaw in their empire. She noticed the corruption hidden beneath their glamour, inflated contracts, political bribes, and the illusion of clean success. She saw their greed masking insecurity. They didn't realize the quiet woman they laughed at worked with an international investment firm, handling deals that could change nations. The same firm had been watching this family, considering whether to expand into their region. She said nothing, not even when she learned her company was planning $1 billion partnership with them. The night before the official signing, they threw a grand party to celebrate their upcoming victory. She was there, uninvited yet unavoidable, a silent guest in her own humiliation. The matriarch raised her glass, making a cruel remark that sent laughter echoing across the hall. The sound carved through her heart, but she smiled, a calm, knowing smile. Because tomorrow, she wouldn't be the outsider. Tomorrow, the very people who mocked her would realize who she truly was. The night before the official signing, they threw a grand party to celebrate their upcoming victory. She was there, uninvited yet unavoidable, a silent guest in her own humiliation. The matriarch raised her glass, making a cruel remark that sent laughter echoing across the hall. The sound carved through her heart, but she smiled, a calm, knowing smile. Because tomorrow, she wouldn't be the outsider. Tomorrow, the very people who mocked her would realize who she truly was. Without raising her voice, she began the final review. Each financial flaw they had hidden now surfaced under her calm control. Every unethical practice, every fabricated report was laid bare before the investors. In silence, their empire began to crumble. One by one, investors withdrew. The billion-dollar contract vanished like smoke. The family that once laughed at her sat in disbelief, watching the woman they scorned dismantle everything they had built, not out of revenge, but truth. When the chaos ended, she stood from her chair and gathered her files. There was no triumph in her face, no pride, just quiet dignity. She didn't need to speak. Her presence had already spoken louder than their generations of arrogance. The family lost everything that day, not just wealth, but the illusion of superiority they had wrapped themselves in. The world saw their collapse, and in that moment, she became the symbol of what true power looks like: silent, graceful, and just. Weeks later, she returned to her peaceful life, far from headlines and boardrooms. The empire she destroyed was now a cautionary tale whispered across industries. Yet she carried no hatred, only a lesson that prejudice blinds even the intelligent, that arrogance turns legacy into ruin. Her silence had been her weapon, her patience, her shield. In the end, those who laughed had only built the stage for their own downfall. They mocked her for her color, her background, her difference, never realizing that the very hands they dismissed held the power to rewrite their fate. Racism doesn't always come as violence. Sometimes it comes as laughter that underestimates the wrong person. And sometimes justice doesn't need to shout. It simply waits for the right moment to be seen. Because when truth rises, no empire built on prejudice can stand.